Hello everyone, my name is Lakita from BSc Chemistry Honors second year. Today I am going to make an audio recording for visually impaired student of physical chemistry from Pradeep's book. The chapter name is The Distribution Law. Introduction. Definition of the distribution law. It is observed that when a solid or a liquid is added to a mixture of two immiscible liquid in both of which it is soluble, example iodine to a mixture of carbon disulfide and water, or succinic acid to a mixture of ether and water, it distributes itself between the two liquid in such a manner that the ratio of concentration of substance in two liquid is always constant at constant temperature. These observations were made by Berthelot and Jungfleisch in 1872. However, it was pointed out by Nernst in 1891 that the ratio of concentration is constant only when the solute has the same molecular weight, that is, the molecular state in both the solvent. Hence, the generalization was put in a proper form by Nernst and is called Nernst distribution law. It states as follows. A solute distributes itself between the two immiscible solvents in such a way that the ratio of concentration of solute in the two solvents is constant at constant temperature, independent of the presence any other molecular species, provided that the solute has the same molecular state in both the solvent. Thus, if a solute X distributes itself between the two immiscible solvents A and B, then if X remain in the same molecular state in both the solvent, we will have concentration of X in solvent A by concentration of X in solvent B is equal to C1 by C2 is equal to K, a constant. The constant K is called distribution coefficient or partition coefficient. To test the validity of the law, that is to verify the law experimentally, different amount of a solution of iodine may be added to a mixture of water and carbon tetrachloride or CS2 taken in different bottle. These are then shaken and allowed to stand. A known volume of each layer is pipetted out and then titrated against hypo solution to find out the concentration of iodine. Similarly, experiment may be performed with other solute and immiscible solvent. A few results of some earlier experiment are given in table. It is important to note that it is the ratio of concentration which matter and not the ratio of the total weight of solute present in the two solvent. Hence, the same unit of concentration must be used for each of solvent. Condition under which distribution law is valid. The temperature must remain constant throughout the experiment. Next is the two liquid solvent should be mutually immiscible. The amount of solute added should be small, that is, the solution should be dilute. This is essential because in certain cases the solute added affect the mutual solubility of the solvent. Next is the solute must have the same molecular state in both the solvent, that is, it should not undergo association or dissociation in any of the solvent or combination with any of the solvent. Thus, the law is not valid for distribution of benzoic acid between water and benzene because it has been observed that in benzene, benzoic acid undergo association to form dimer. That is, it exists as C6H5COOH hot twice. Similarly, the law is not valid for the distribution of any electrolyte like HCl acid between water and a non-polar solvent like benzene, CS2, CCl4, etc. because the electrolyte undergo dissociation in water. Thermodynamic derivation of the distribution law. The thermodynamic derivation of distribution law is based upon the principle that if there are two phases in equilibrium, that is, two immiscible solvents containing the same solute dissolve in them, then the chemical potential of a substance present in them must be same in both the phases. For thermodynamics, we know that the chemical potential mu of the substance is a solution given by mu is equal to mu naught plus RT ln A, where mu naught is the standard chemical potential and A is the activity of substance in the solution. Thus, for the solute in liquid A, we have mu A is equal to mu naught A plus RT ln A capital A. Similarly, for the solute in liquid B, we have mu B is equal to mu naught B plus RT ln AB. But as already stated, since the liquid A and B are in equilibrium, mu A is equal to mu B. So, mu naught A plus RT ln AA is equal to mu naught B plus RT ln AB. Or RT ln AA minus RT ln AB is equal to mu naught B minus mu naught A. The chemical potential is defined as the partial molar free energy, that is the change in free energy mole per mole change of composition of that component in the solution, keeping the composition of all other component constant. The activity of a substance in the solution is its effective concentration. Then ln A by ln AB is equal to mu naught B minus mu naught A by RT. Further, at a given temperature, mu naught A and mu naught B are constant for given substance in particular solvent. Hence, at constant temperature, we have from equation ln AA by ln AB is equal to constant, and therefore AA by AB is equal to constant. This is the exact expression for distribution law. However, if the solution are dilute, the activity are equal to the concentration, so that the expression is modified to Ca by Cb is equal to constant, which is the original form of distribution law. Change in molecular state and distribution law. As mentioned earlier, Nernst was the first person to point it out that the distribution law in the form C1 by C2 is equal to constant is applicable only if the solute remain in the same molecular state in both the solvent. That is, it does not undergo association or dissociation in any of the solvent or combination with any of the solvent. If, however, such changes takes place in any of the solvent, then the law cannot be applied to the total concentration of solute in two phases, but only to concentration of identical molecular species in two phases. In each of these cases, the distribution law equation is modified as discussed below for a few simple cases. Case 1. When the solute undergo association in one of the solvent. Suppose the solute X remain in normal molecular state in the phase 1, but n molecule of it associate to form complex molecule Xn in phase 2. Then the following equilibrium will exist simultaneously. Number 1. X in equilibrium with X, and number 2. Nx equilibrium with Xn in the phase 2. Suppose the total concentration of solute X in phase 1 is equal to C1 and total concentration of solute in phase 2 is C2. Also suppose alpha is the degree of association of solute in phase 2, then concentration of associated molecule in phase 2, that is Xn is equal to 1 by NC2 alpha, and concentration of unassociated molecule in phase 2 is 1 minus alpha C2. Applying the distribution law to equilibrium 1, we get concentration of solute X in phase 1 by concentration of normal molecule of X in phase 2 is equal to constant. C1 by 1 minus alpha C2 is equal to constant. Again apply the law of chemical equilibrium to equilibrium second, we get concentration of associated molecule in phase 2 by concentration of normal molecule in phase 2 to the power n is equal to constant. That is 1 by nC2 alpha by 1 minus alpha C2 whole power n is equal to constant, or C2 alpha by 1 minus alpha C2 whole power n is equal to constant. N is a constant. By taking nth root, we get n root C2 alpha by 1 minus alpha C2 is equal to constant. Dividing equation 1 by equation 2, we get C1 by n root C2 alpha is equal to constant, which is exact formula. When the molecule in phase 2 are almost completely associated, then alpha is equal to 1, and therefore the approx formula is C1 by n root C2 is equal to constant. Alternatively, the same result may be obtained in a simple manner as follows. Suppose concentration of solute X in phase 1 is equal to C1 and concentration of associated molecule in phase 2 is equal to C2, and concentration of simple molecule in phase 2 is C3. Applying the distribution law to equilibrium 1, we get C1 by C3 is equal to constant. Again applying the law of chemical equilibrium to equilibrium 2, we get C2 by C3 whole power n is equal to constant. Taking nth root on both sides, we get n root C2 by C3 is equal to constant. Equation 4. Dividing equation 3 by equation 4, we get C1 by n root C2 is equal to constant, which is the same derived as above. Thus, in such cases, when the solute undergo association in one of the solvent, the constant value for the partition coefficient is obtained not for the ratio C1 by C2, but the ratio C1 by n root C2. This relationship has been confirmed by studying the distribution of benzoic acid between water and benzene. The acid exists mainly as associated molecule C6H5COOH whole twice in benzene solution. The following results were obtained. Thus, whereas the ratio C1 by C2 show great variation, the ratio C1 by root C2 is nearly constant. The formula C1 by n root C2 is equal to k is commonly used for finding the value of n, that is the extent of complexity of the solute molecule in one of the solvent. This is done by finding out the concentration C1 and C2 of the solute in the two solvent in a number of experiments. The value of n is then calculated as explained later. Case 2. When the solute undergo dissociation in one of the solvent. As before, suppose the solute X dissolve in phase 1 without any change in molecular state but undergo dissociation in Y, Z, etc. in the phase 2. Then as in figure 5.4, the following two equilibrium will be set up. Number 1, X phase 1 is equilibrium with X in phase 2 and X is in equilibrium with Y plus Z in the same phase 2. Suppose total concentration of solute X in phase 1 is equal to C1 and total concentration of solute X in phase 2 is C2. Also suppose the degree of dissociation of solute in phase 2 is alpha, then concentration of undissociated simple molecule in phase 2 is 1 minus alpha C2. Applying the distribution law to equilibrium 1, we get C1 by 1 minus alpha C2 is equal to K, constant called partition coefficient. Note, it is obvious that if the solute undergo dissociation in phase 1 with degree of dissociation alpha but remain normal in phase 2, then the formula obtained will be C1 1 minus alpha by C2 is equal to K. Similarly, if the solute undergo dissociation in both the phases with degree of dissociation alpha in each, then formula will be C1 1 minus alpha by C2 1 minus alpha is equal to K. From the above expression, the degree of dissociation alpha can be calculated. Case 3. When the solute undergo combination with one of the solvent. Suppose the solute X remain in the normal molecular state in phase 1, but one molecule of it combine with n molecule of solvent S to form the compound molecule X dot NS in phase 2. Then, as shown in figure, the following two equilibria will be established. Number 1, X in phase 1 is equilibrium with X in phase 2. Number 2, X plus NS in equilibrium gives X dot NS in same phase 2. Suppose concentration of X in phase 1 is C1, concentration of normal molecule in phase 2 is C2, concentration of solvent molecule in phase 2 is CS, and concentration of compound molecule in phase 2 is CC. Applying the distribution law to equilibrium 1, we get C1 by C2 is equal to K, the distribution coefficient. Again, applying the law of chemical equilibrium to equilibrium 2, we get Cc by C2 into Cs to the power n is equal to K1 equilibrium constant. Since the solvent in phase 2 is present in excess, its concentration Cs remain almost constant in spite of combination with the solute X, particularly if the solute is added in small quantity. That is, the solution is dilute, then Cs to the power n is constant. So equation will be Cc by C2 is equal to K1 Cs n is equal to K2, another constant. Adding 1 to both the side, we get 1 plus Cc by C2 is equal to 1 plus K2, or C2 plus Cc by C2 is equal to 1 plus K2. Dividing both the equation, we get C1 by C2 into C2 by C2 plus Cc is equal to K by 1 plus K2. C1 by C2 plus Cc is equal to K by 1 plus K2 is equal to K3, another constant. But C2 plus Cc is the total concentration of the normal as well as the solvated molecule of solute X in phase 2. Thus, the above equation in fact implies that total concentration of solute X in phase 1 by total concentration of solute X in phase 2 is equal to constant. Hence, we conclude that when the solute enter into chemical combination with one of the solvent, there is no modification of distribution law equation except that the numerical value of the partition constant is changed. Application of distribution law. The distribution law has been applied to study a problem of both theoretical and practical interest, a few of which are briefly discussed below. Number 1. In calculating the solubility of a solute in a solvent. When the two immiscible solvents are in contact with each other and the solute is added in such a large excess that saturated solution are formed, then the concentration of solution at this stage will be equal to the solubility. Assuming that the distribution law is applicable for such concentration, we will have C1 by C2 is equal to S1 by S2 is equal to K, where concentration C1 is equal to S1 is the solubility of solute in solvent 1 and concentration C2 is equal to S2 is the solubility of solute in solvent 2. Thus, knowing the distribution coefficient K and the solubility of solute in one of solvent, then the solubility of other solvent can be calculated. Number 2. In study the extent of association or dissociation of the solute in a solvent. We have already seen that when a solute undergo association in one of the solvent NX equilibrium with Xn in which its total concentration is C2 and has the normal molecular state in the second solvent in which its concentration is C1, then distribution law is modified to C1 by n root C2 is equal to K, the distribution coefficient. From this formula, the value of n can be calculated either by hit and trial method or by logarithm method as explained below. Number 1. Hit and trial method. The values of C1 and C2 obtained in different experiment are put in the equation C1 by n root C2 is equal to K. Then putting n is equal to 2, 3, 4 etc. one by one. The value of K are calculated in each case. The number which give constant value for K is the correct value for n. Number 2. Logarithm method. The formula for finding n is C1 by n root C2 is equal to K. C1 by C to the power 1 by n is equal to K. C1 is equal to C to the power 1 by n dot K. Taking log of both sides, we get log C1 is equal to 1 by n log C2 plus log K. For two set of values C1, C2 and C1 dash C2 dash, we have log C1 is equal to 1 by n log C2 plus log K and log C1 dash is equal to 1 by n log C1 dash C2 dash plus log K. Subtracting both equation, we get log C1 minus log C1 dash is equal to 1 by n log C2 minus log C2 dash. N is equal to log C2 minus log C2 dash by log C1 minus log C1 dash. Hence n can be calculated. Similarly, when a solute undergo dissociation in one of the solvent, X gives Y plus Z in which its total concentration is C2 and has the same normal molecular state in the second solvent in which its concentration is C1, then we have C1 by C21 minus alpha is equal to K, the distribution coefficient. From this formula, the degree of dissociation alpha can be easily calculated. Number 3. In predicting distribution indicator. It has been seen that iodine distributes itself between CS2 and water with a distribution coefficient equal to 400 towards CS2. Thus, if a weak solution of iodine is to be estimated, then a few drops of CS2 or CCl4 may be added to this solution. As a result, a considerable amount of I2 will pass into CS2 layer and give it a deep violet color. Now the solution may be titrated against hyposolution till the violet color in CS2 layer disappear. Thus iodine acts as a distribution indicator in this case. Number 4. In study the chemical equilibria leading to formation of complex ion. Example, Ki plus I2 in equilibrium gives Ki3 or I negative plus I2 gives I3 negative. KBr plus Br2 gives KBr3 or Br negative plus Br2 gives Br3 negative. CuSO4 plus 4NH3 gives CuNH4 NH3 whole thrice NH3 whole 4SO4 or Cu2 positive plus 4NH3 gives CuNH3 whole 4 2 positive. Distribution law helps us to determine the equilibrium constant for any of the above equilibrium reaction and hence to establish the formula of complex ion on the basis of constancy in the value of the equilibrium constant. As an example, let us consider the first equilibrium reaction. The study of this equilibrium involves the following step. Number 1. A solution of iodine in CS2 is shaken with water to find out the distribution coefficient of iodine between water and CS2. Number 2. A solution of iodine in CS2 of known concentration is shaken with Ki solution also of known concentration. Number 3. After the distribution of iodine is incomplete between the two layers, the concentration of iodine left in CS2 layer is determined by titration against standard hypo solution. The result is then calculated as follows. Suppose that initial concentration of iodine in CS2 is equal to A moles per liter. Initial concentration of Ki solution is B moles per liter. Concentration of I2 left in CS2 layer after distribution is equal to C moles per liter. Distribution coefficient of I2 between water and CS2 is equal to K. As iodine react with Ki, the total concentration of iodine free plus combined in the aqueous layer is much higher than if no Ki were present. Obviously, total concentration of I2 free plus combined in aqueous layer is equal to initial concentration of I2 in CS2 layer minus concentration of I2 left in CS2 layer is equal to A minus C moles per liter. Concentration of free I2 in aqueous layer can be calculated by applying distribution law, that is concentration of free I2 in aqueous layer by concentration of I2 in CS2 layer is equal to K distribution coefficient, but concentration of I2 in CS2 layer is equal to C moles per liter. Concentration of free I2 in aqueous layer is Kc mole per liter. Amount of I2 has combined with Ki is A minus C minus Kc moles per liter, that is equal to D moles per liter. Now according to the reaction, concentration of Ki3 in aqueous layer is equal to D moles per liter. Concentration of Ki in aqueous layer is equal to B minus D moles per liter. Concentration of I2 in aqueous layer is equal to Kc mole per liter. Now according to reaction, Ki plus I2 gives Ki3. Number of mole of I2 combined is equal to number of mole of Ki combined is equal to number of mole of Ki3 form. Substituting all the value in equilibrium law expression, K dash is equal to Ki3 by Ki2. The equilibrium constant K dash can be calculated. Starting with different initial concentration of iodine and Ki solution, the value of K dash is determined in each case. A fair constancy in the value of K dash confirm the formula of complex Ki3 or that of the complex ion. Number 5. In the process of extraction. The process of extraction is of great importance both in the laboratory and industry. In the laboratory, the process is often used for the removal of dissolved substance from an aqueous solution with the help of organic solvent like ether, chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, or benzene. In the industry, the process is used to remove the impurity from the product. Basically, the process involves shaking of the aqueous solution of substance with an organic solvent which is immiscible with water but in which the substance to be extracted is soluble. After shaking, the mixture is allowed to stand. Most of the substance passes into organic layer from which the former can be separated out by distilling of the organic solvent. However, in order that the process of extraction may be more effective and efficient, the following two conditions must be fulfilled. Number 1. The value of distribution coefficient of substance between water in which the substance is already present and the extracting solvent should be greater in favor of extracting solvent. It is sometimes possible to increase the distribution coefficient artificially by making the substance less soluble in aqueous phase. This can be done by adding some substance which depress the electrolytic dissociation of compound being extracted. Thus, suppose that an organic acid which ionizes to a certain extent in aqueous solution is to be extracted with ether. If a strong inorganic acid HCl etc. is added to the solution, the hydrogen ion concentration is increased and the ionization of organic acid is reduced because of common ion effect. In the solution, there will be greater amount of undissociated acid and hence the amount extracted will be greater. Similarly, an organic base can be best extracted in the presence of strong inorganic base. The addition of salt also usually lower the solubility of an inorganic compound in water, salting out effect, and thus increase the distribution coefficient. Number 2. The whole of extracting solvent available should not be used in one load, but it should be used in maximum number of installment. That this factor increase the efficiency of extraction can be seen as follows. Suppose x gram of substance are present in 1 liter of the aqueous solution. Also suppose 1 liter of ether is available as the extracting solvent, and that the distribution coefficient of substance between ether and water is 2. Now if whole of the ether is used in one lot and x gram be the amount of substance extracted into ether, then we will have concentration of ether by concentration in H2O is equal to x by 1000 by x minus capital X minus small x by 1000 is equal to 2. Small x is equal to 2 by 3, capital X is equal to 0.67 capital X. Thus only 67% of total amount will be extracted in this case. Again suppose the whole of ether is used in two installment, each of 500 cc. After shaking with first installment of 500 cc, suppose x1 gram of substance passes into the ether layer, then clearly x1 by 500 is equal to capital X minus x1 by 1000 is equal to 2. x1 is equal to x by 2 is equal to 0.5 capital X. Thus 50% of total amount is extracted out of this operation. Therefore the amount of substance left unextracted is 1 by 2x. Now 1 liter of aqueous solution containing 1 by 2x gram of substance is shaken with remaining 500 cc of ether. Suppose the amount extracted into ether by this operation is x2 gram, then x2 by 500 is equal to x by 2 minus x2 by 1000 is equal to 2. x2 is equal to 1 by 4 capital X is equal to 0.25 capital X. That is 25% of total substance passes in the ether layer in this operation. Therefore total amount of substance extracted is 50 plus 25 is equal to 75%. Thus, when 1 liter of ether is used in two installment, the percentage extraction increase from 66.7 to 75. Similarly, it can be done that 1 liter of ether is used in 4 equal installment, the extraction increase further to 93.75%. A general formula can be derived which give the amount of substance left unextracted after a definite number of operations. Suppose W gram of substance is present in V ml of solution made in solvent A. Also suppose that V ml of extracting solvent B is used each time and K is distribution coefficient of substance between the solvent A and B. Now if W1 gram be the amount of substance left unextracted in solvent A after the first operation, then concentration in A by concentration in B is equal to K, that is W1 by V by capital W minus W1 by V is equal to K, or K W minus W1 by small v is equal to W1 by capital V, or K capital V capital W minus W1 is equal to W1 V, W1 small v plus K capital V is equal to K capital V capital W. W1 is equal to K capital V by small v plus K V W. Again, after the second operation, if W2 be the WB with the amount of substance left unextracted in solvent A, so that the amount extracted is W1 minus W2 gram, then W2 is equal to K capital V by small v plus K capital V W1. Putting the value of W1 from equation 1, we get W2 is equal to KV by V plus KV, KV by V plus KV W. And W2 is equal to KV by V plus KV whole square W. In general, after nth operation, the amount of substance left unextracted will be Wn is equal to Kv by V plus Kv whole power n W. In order that the extraction may be more efficient, clearly Wn should be small as possible. This can be so only if the factor Kv by V plus Kvn is as small as possible. Now this factor, the denominator V plus Kv is greater than the numerator Kv, Therefore, Kv by V plus Kv is less than 1. Hence, the above factor will be smallest possible when n is the largest possible. So, it follows multi-step extraction is more economical than single-step extraction. Further, from the above equation, it may be seen that Wn can never be equal to 0, howsoever large n may be. In other words, extraction can be obtained howsoever large number of extraction may be carried out. Otherwise, also, it is clear that every time the substance left undistributed itself between the two solvents, some quantity, howsoever small, must be left unextracted. Note, for the purpose of numerical problem, if it must be remembered that K is the distribution coefficient of substance between solvent A already present and the extracting solvent B. If K is given for the distribution substance between solvent B and A, the reciprocal of this value should be used in the above equation. The principle of multi-step extraction holds good for washing the precipitate, whereby the impurity distribute between the liquid and the precipitate. Further, in Parkes process for desilverization of lead also use is made of the principle of extraction. Silver is more soluble in zinc than in lead. Zinc is immiscible with molten lead. Thus, when zinc is added to argentiferous lead, a large quantity of silver goes into the molten zinc layer, leaving little silver in the molten lead layer. Because the distribution coefficient of silver between zinc and lead is 300 at 880 degrees Celsius. Zinc containing silver form the upper layer. Thus, by repeating the process, almost total quantity of silver can be extracted from argentiferous lead. Number 6. In the determination of degree of hydrolysis, let us first study some term and expression related to salt hydrolysis. Hydrolysis constant. The general equation for the hydrolysis of salt Ba may be written as Ba plus H2O gives Ha plus BOH. Applying the law of chemical equilibrium, we get HaBOH by BaH2O is equal to K, the equilibrium constant. Since water is present in very large excess in the aqueous solution, its concentration H2O may be regarded as constant, so that we have HaBOH by Ba is equal to KH2O is equal to KH, where KH is called hydrolysis constant. Since Ha and BOH represent the molar concentration of free acid and free base produced, and Ba represent the concentration of unhydrolyzed salt, the above expression for hydrolysis constant may be written in a more general way. KH is equal to free acid, free base by unhydrolyzed salt. Degree of hydrolysis. The degree of hydrolysis of a salt is defined as the fraction or percentage of the total salt which is hydrolyzed. For example, if in a solution of aniline hydrochloride, 90% of salt is hydrolyzed into aniline and hydrochloric acid, the degree of hydrolysis is 0.90 or may be expressed as percentage is 90%. It is usually represented by the symbol H. That is, H is equal to number of mole of salt hydrolysis by number of moles of salt taken. Expression for degree of hydrolysis for solution of different type of salt. As salt of strong acid and base do not undergo hydrolysis, therefore to talk of KOH or H of such salt is meaningless. The case of other three type of salt are discussed below. Salt of weak acid and weak base. Representing salt by Ba as usual, the hydrolysis may be represented as follows. Ba salt plus H2O gives BOH plus HA. BOH is strong and HA is weak, or B positive plus A negative plus H2O in equilibrium gives B positive plus OH negative plus HA, or A negative plus H2O gives OH negative plus HA. Suppose the original concentration of salt in the solution is C moles per liter and H is its degree of hydrolysis at this concentration. Then we have A negative plus H2O in equilibrium gives OH negative plus HA. Original concentration at equilibrium C00, molar concentration at equilibrium C1 minus H, CH. The hydrolysis constant KH will therefore be given by KH is equal to OH negative HA by A negative CH dot CH by C1 minus H, CH square by 1 minus H. If H is very small as compared to 1, we can take 1 minus H nearly equal to 1, so that the above expression becomes CH square nearly equal to KH, or H square nearly equal to KH by C, or H nearly equal to root KH by C. H is inversely proportional to root 1 by C. Thus, degree of hydrolysis of a salt of weak acid and strong base is inversely proportional to the square root of its molar concentration. Number 2. Salt of strong acid and weak base. For such a salt Ba, the hydrolysis may be represented as Ba plus H2O gives BOH weak plus HA strong. B positive plus A negative plus H2O gives BOH plus H positive plus A negative. B positive plus H2O gives BOH plus H positive, that is, it is a case of cation hydrolysis. Proceeding as in the equilibrium case, we get the same relationship. H nearly equal to KH by C whole root. Number 3. Salt of weak acid and weak base. Representing the salt by Ba as before, we have Ba plus H2O gives BOH weak plus HA weak. B positive plus A negative plus H2O gives BOH plus HA. In this case, we have B positive plus A negative plus H2O gives BOH plus HA. Original concentration CC00, concentration at equilibrium C1 minus H, C1 minus H, CH, CH. KH is equal to CH dot CH by C1 minus H dot C1 minus H. That is equal to H square by 1 minus H square. Here the relationship between KH and H does not involve C. Thus the degree of hydrolysis of such a salt is independent of the concentration of the solution. If H is very small in comparison to 1, we can take 1 minus H nearly equal to 1, so that equation become KH is equal to H square, H nearly equal to root KH. Determination of degree of hydrolysis by application of distribution law. Suppose it is required to determine the degree of hydrolysis of aniline hydrochloride C6H5NH2.HCl or C6H5NH3 positive Cl negative, which is a salt of weak base aniline and a strong acid HCl acid. The method consists of two steps as follows. Number 1. Determination of hydrolysis constant. Aniline hydrochloride is hydrolyzed as C6H5NH3Cl plus H2O in equilibrium gives C6H5NH3 positive OH negative plus HCl gives C6H5NH2 plus H2O. The hydrolysis constant will therefore be given by KH is equal to free aniline, free HCl acid by unhydrolyzed salt. Thus, to get the value of KH, the aim is to find the molar concentration of free aniline, free HCl acid and the unhydrolyzed salt in an aqueous solution of aniline hydrochloride of known concentration. This is done by shaking aqueous solution of aniline hydrochloride is of known concentration with benzene. As a result, the free aniline distributes itself between the two solvents, that is water and benzene, whereas HCl acid and the unhydrolyzed salt remain in the aqueous layer as shown in figure. A. Calculation of concentration of free aniline in aqueous layer. For this purpose, the concentration of aniline present in the benzene layer is found by taking a known volume of this layer, evaporating of the benzene and finding weight of aniline left. Having known the concentration of aniline in the benzene layer, that in the aqueous layer can be calculated if the distribution coefficient of aniline between water and benzene is known, which can be found by a separate experiment. B. Calculation of concentration of free HCl produced. From the hydrolysis equation, number of moles of HCl produced is equal to total number of moles of aniline produced. But total amount of aniline produced is equal to amount of aniline present in benzene layer plus amount of aniline present in aqueous layer. Each of these amount has been already calculated in step A above. Hence, the total number of mole of aniline produced and hence the free HCl produced can be calculated. Knowing the value of aqueous layer, the concentration of free HCl in the aqueous layer can be calculated. C. Calculation of concentration of unhydrolyzed salt. From the hydrolysis equation, it is clear that the number of mole of salt hydrolyzed is equal to total number of mole of aniline produced or free HCl produced, which has already been calculated in step B above. Hence, knowing the initial number of moles of salt taken, the number of mole of salt unleft hydrolyzed can be calculated. Further, knowing the volume of aqueous layer, the concentration of unhydrolyzed salt can be calculated. Number 2. Calculation of degree of hydrolysis. Knowing the hydrolysis constant Kh, the degree of hydrolysis of a solution of aniline hydrochloride having concentration C moles per liter can be calculated directly from the expression H is equal to root Kh by C. So this is all about the distribution law. Thank you.